what is actually happening to the mother, her psychology, her hormones, her mental health in this postpartum phase.
So, what's really happening to her in that moment? In a nutshell, she does not know. There's so much information coming at us about the right thing to do, the good mother, the good wife, the good parent. None of that is actually relevant in that moment because there's fog.
Is this a societal shift that we're going through in our culture where the fathers are stepping up, or is this a big myth and a bubble?
The fact that women are now financially dependent and they're earning, I haven't seen families sit down and say, wow, such a good job she's doing that they are able to live in this really nice apartment. I've had enough women in therapy tell me that their partners have turned around and told them, but you're not the first one to have a baby. Why are you crying? Why are you struggling? Very often in therapy, people are coming in and they're talking about what's happening in their marriage or what's happening in relation to their child. But what they're actually talking about is what they saw growing up, what they understood.
Suppose you had to give advice to a woman who is hearing this podcast. She's pregnant, she's going to deliver next month. What is the advice that you want to give her? We live in an era where modern dads are praised for doing more than ever before. Yet, behind closed doors, modern mothers are drowning in an unprecedented level of maternal burnout, isolation, and marriage problems after kids. Why does domestic help still leave us feeling completely unsupported? Why does the bedroom go completely cold? And is this postpartum dry spell completely hormonal? Or is this a symptom of carrying the entire overload of motherhood? Hi, this is Sneha Javeri, your fellow mommy friend and the host of Mumma, a podcast where I ask all your questions to the best people in the business. To help us map out a realistic postpartum relationship plan and heal this postpartum anger, I'm joined by the incredible Priyanka Varma. She's a clinical psychologist, a psychotherapist, and a counselor, and the founder of Thought Co, which is a prominent therapist led mental health organization in Mumbai, providing in person and online counseling services. Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know this conversation is going to be an eye opener for so many new moms, and it's actually going down memory lane for moms like us who've actually gone through it. And looking back, we sigh in relief that we're not in that phase anymore. So, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to get straight into it. Um, when a baby is born, everything is about the child: sleep, feed, XYZ. Of course, there is a dedicated phase that we do call it the japa or whatever they call it in different cultures, which is supposed to be dedicated towards caregiving of the mother. But that rarely ever happens because the mother is drowning in so many emotions and is so overwhelmed. What is actually happening to the mother, her psychology, her hormones, her mental health at this time in this postpartum phase?
Okay. Thanks for having me. And I think having this conversation about what happens to moms
Yeah.
is extremely relevant, more so now than ever before, because we don't really have a script about what needs to be done, how do we do it, what care looks like anymore, because family systems and structures are changing. Simple things like more women today are living in nuclear families.
Yes.
More women are financially independent. So, what's really happening to her in that moment? Um, in a nutshell, she does not know. Okay. Because, yes, I've had 9 months of baby inside me and they are growing and I can feel them grow. Great, superb, sometimes a lovely experience.
And also the romanticizing of this, that society, and we also do, right? That, this romantic idea that this baby is a union of love and has come out, and this is going to complete me as a woman,
Yeah.
you know?
And that's all problematic because there's no completion that can ever take place by another human being. Yes, maybe your partner, maybe your child, maybe your parent, your friend. The goal is for you to be your own complete individual. Everybody else just feeds into aspects of you.
Yes.
But now the babies come and you have your 2, 3, 4 days in the hospital, which is great. There's a nurse telling you keep your phone aside while you feed the baby and you're sitting there wondering, I know this.
Yeah.
I know, I mean, I've read enough, I'm educated enough, I know what I'm supposed to do. Give me a minute. But all of that is secondary. You've got your nurse, you've got your job at home, and you think you've got it, right?
Yeah.
The nursery is done, it's organized, everything is labeled neatly. We've got all those Instagram reels saved. We think we're prepared. There's so much information coming at us about the right thing to do, the good mother, the good wife, the good parent.
Yeah.
And none of that is actually relevant in that moment because there's fog.
Yeah.
You do not know what has hit you, but it does not mean you do not love your child. It does not mean you do not love your partner.
Yeah.
It just means right now, this is entirely new.
Yeah.
And no amount of information I have can prepare me for what I'm about to experience.
Right.
And generally, when that happens to anybody, we are trying to figure it out along the way, right? We have some things that we think we should do, but it doesn't feel right. And we're sort of doing jugaad, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
in that moment. So, to answer your question, what happens to a mother at that point of time? We have theories, we have various frameworks that we can call upon, but truly in that moment, we do not know. And that's the one thing women need to embrace, that they do not know. And it's okay
to not know.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine not to know at that moment. And embrace that and say, I don't know and I'm figuring it out.
Yeah. But that's about motherhood. We don't know because we're not mothers, right? So it's like a new job where we are going to take 6 months to figure out what exactly is happening. But when we talk about the hormones, the psychology, is there really some theory, some study, or something that actually says what's going on with the mother in that moment, or not really?
So I want to go back to the new job. We enter a job and it's the first job, and we have HR taking us through processes and doing this induction, giving us the ID card. And by 6 months, we have sort of a hold on things. But with motherhood or parenthood, it changes every 6 months. From 6 months to 3 months, or from 3 months to 6 months. And then maybe there's some sort of stability we'll reach to about like 6 to 9 months of having it not change. So what I'm saying this is that there is rapid transformation happening. There's rapid change happening. And just when you think you've got a hold on things,
It changes again.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we have no real comparison to any other experience we've had in life.
Okay.
Because this is a being entering with their wants, their needs, their desires, and we're holding space for theirs, and we're also holding space for ours,
Or trying to.
That's the right word.
Yeah.
So nothing really quite similar to this.
Yeah.
Yes, there are theories. There's enough research studies that say that they've compared the brain of a woman before she had a baby and after she had one. And the gray matter has changed, it's reduced. That's one study that's published.
Really?
So there's actual biological changes that take place.
Wow.
I mean, there's enough research and women know about how there's hormonal fluctuation taking place because we just had a baby, there was estrogen surging, progesterone all around place, and now we're reaching normal levels with it. So the body is going through rapid transformation there. And there's also the study about how there's an identity that is shaping.
Yeah.
And that being very key over here.
Yeah.
Just as an adolescent, we expect them to be emotionally dysregulated. We expect them to be rebellious. We recognize it's this phase of transformation for them.
And we actually are very empathetic to this phase, right?
Yeah.
There's so much going on about the adolescent phase. But if I may interject and say there's not much hand holding that is being done to this phase that moms are going through.
And you're absolutely right about it. Because we expect them to, well, lack of a better word, suck it up and move on.
Yeah.
Right? I've had enough women in therapy tell me that their partners who are present have turned around and told them, but you're the first one to have a baby. Why are you crying? Why are you struggling?
We all heard this. Yeah.
And it's one of the most hurtful things anybody can say to you.
Yeah.
When you are breaking down, you're struggling to stay afloat, and you're trying to hold things together. And you do not know in that moment, why
Yeah.
am I crying?
Yeah.
What is troubling?
Yeah.
So patience, desire to understand, it's a struggle for everybody.
But in our, like in the modern day, the father is being celebrated now more than ever to be almost 50%. I'm using the word almost 50%, holder of or carrier of responsibilities as well, where they are actually doing much more than um, traditional fathers have ever done, especially in our culture. um, However, the mums are still feeling overwhelmed, still feeling like they're sinking, still feel isolated, So is this a societal shift that we're going through in our culture where the fathers are stepping up, they are raising the bar, they are chiming in, stepping in. Of course, they can't physically do anything because the physical changes is all us, but they are doing that pediatric run. They are doing that, diaper change. They are trying to do the, bottle feed, the occasional, whatever is required. Plus, we also have domestic help, most of us. So, is this something that is a societal shift where we should actually be celebrating this transformation in society where men are actually stepping up, they're actually raising the bar, coming in and doing what they should be doing? Or is this a big myth and a bubble that is being created by social media or maybe women for themselves to make themselves feel good? What is it?
So, a couple of things, right? Going back to the fact that women are now financially dependent and they're earning, and I'm particularly addressing this cohort where both individuals are working and the income of both individuals matter. So, she going to work is as important as you going to work. If you're both at work, you would not be able to afford that fancy house, have those cars, have the help you all have.
Yeah,
Okay?
or just basically forget the fancy cars and all. But yes, I completely agree with you that today our urban middle class has become much, much bigger because the women have joined the workforce. And that family who would not possibly hire that help today is, because two incomes are being joined together. They are renting that nice house and that lifestyle building. They are sending the child to the school of their choice. And yes, they are getting that little bit of extra help, domestic or otherwise, to take care of their children. So yes, I completely agree with you that yes, it is two incomes that is actually powering this lifestyle.
So when this lifestyle is powered, right? I don't know, at least in my experience, I haven't seen families sit down and say, wow, such a good job she's doing that they are able to live in this really nice apartment. Oh wow, such an amazing job that they're able to afford the kind of lifestyle and holidays.
Yeah.
And she's not dependent on him, he's not dependent on her, it's joint effort. Cut to now they have a baby. Wow, he's done pickup or he's done school drop off. But he is glorified that you've done it. And I'm sitting here saying, why?
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
if she's contributing to uplift the lifestyle, why is there no acknowledgement at that phase?
Yeah.
And here, yes, he is contributing to do school pickup, drop, pediatric runs, maybe an hour of playtime. Great, superb. But why is there so much of applause over there?
Yeah.
And I think that's the unfairness, right? And this is where women probably don't have the language for what they are feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
Suddenly, their partner is showing up.
Yeah.
Great, superb. But why is it being applauded? Why is it not just matter of fact?
Yeah.
Because when I showed up and I paid the bills, why is there no applause to me? Why is it a given that I'm supposed to do this?
Yes.
Why is it not a given he's supposed to do that? And that unfairness is what builds some sort of, I'm going to use the word resentment.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting here and saying, I'm confused. Yeah. If all of this was expected, why is it not expected of him?
And I feel especially the women of our generation, because we are raised exactly like the boys are. We have not had that disparity where we have been told or conditioned to say that you are in the inferior sex or you are the sex that is meant to take care, and working is just something that you do, but it's not monumental, you know. So we are raised, the girls are going abroad, they're becoming CAs, they're becoming MBAs, they're becoming CEOs of companies, they are running the show alongside the men. But when this comes, we go back to bootstraps and say that no, now this is your job. This is what you have to do. And if he does something, it's a tick mark for him. But for you, it's a given. And that's what messes with the mind, I think, of all of us. And I'm going to speak for myself, especially because you feel like, but I'm doing enough. I'm doing the same amount or more. And then why do I have to do this? And why does the buck only stop at me all the time? Like, why can't somebody else step up and say, okay, come on, let's make this a joint effort, or let's make this a family effort of 5 people chipping in to make this happen? If it's a village, then where is the village?
I fully agree with you. Just to delay a bit, right? One of my friends is an entrepreneur, and after I had a baby, and we were chatting, and he turned around and told me that I love having moms on my team. It's like, but why? That's usually not the case. He said because moms can multitask.
Yeah.
What it would take anybody else 5 or 6 hours to, they can get it done in 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that's what we do, right? The minute baby comes, we are juggling 20 things at the same time.
Yeah.
And we are looking at, is there enough like groceries?
Everything.
Enough formula, whatever it is.
Everything, even at work, because we want to prove ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So women are pushing double hard to prove themselves at work as well, because they don't want to be considered like that, like how shall I say, what's the right word? That, like a liability on their team or to their company, that just because I've had a baby, it's fine. Let's skim past the fact that I've just gone through having a baby. I've just had the baby. My body is going nuts. I'm lactating. We have zero maternal care in these corporate offices. Forget the smaller places where women are working. We have no crash system. We have nothing. We have nothing. But women also are ignoring this postpartum of theirs, as is everybody else.
I fully agree with you. And I think a lot of this also comes from media.
Yeah.
Because we see women bounce back into to their old bodies, if I were to say that.
Yeah.
We see them getting back to work.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I took pride in the fact that on the fourth day, I was doing work. And now I tell myself that was really silly of me to bounce back.
Yeah.
On the fourth day, looking at like account sheets, but I should have just slept, in all honesty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so much of guilt women feel for not pushing harder at work, because they're not just fighting for themselves, they're also fighting against
The system.
the system and the stereotype that no longer is true.
Yeah.
That, oh, if you have a baby, you are going to be distracted, or you're not being motivated, or your efficiency is going to drop. That's not true.
Yeah.
So they're pushing harder, and they probably work twice as hard as they did previously.
Yeah.
So
why do you think there is this imbalance in a marriage when it comes to, especially in this postpartum phase, where the man kind of coaches the baby and maybe has drinks with his friends to celebrate that I've had a baby, I've become a father? Maybe in the week one, where the mother is cooped up in the house and doing the sleepless night routine, or he's gone to work already and the mother is at home, and it's just a given that, of course, now what is he going to do? Might as well he go to work. Oh, yeah, poor thing. He comes back from work, just drops everything and comes into the room. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, there's nothing poor thing about that. I mean, it's both, it's two. But what is it that is creating this imbalance, you think?
What's he going to do at home? Let him just go to work. And, oh, he must be so tired post coming home from work. Let him just be.
Yeah.
But forgetting the fact that you have been on demand
Yeah.
for the house, for the baby, for yourself, for relatives coming over to visit the baby. for many other things that are calling out to you.
Yeah.
And we're ignoring that as work because
Yeah.
that does not fit into what we conventionally think work to be at.
Yeah.
Two is that there's a lot of internalized patriarchy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of what we've been conditioned to believe that this is what a man can do and they should be allowed to do it
Yeah.
versus what we believe we should do.
Yeah.
Even something as that, that I'm going to say the awareness that I also contribute financially.
Yes, we can't say that though. Can you ever say that?
You can't. It takes a very hard conversation, very heated conversation to say the finances are shared equally amongst between us.
Try and say that to your mother-in-law.
So I actually have. And it was a conversation where I think there was acknowledgement for it.
Yeah.
That the way the house is run is it's actually 50-50.
Yeah.
But the truth is, even though we're financially 50-50, there's probably more emotional labor on me, right?
Yes.
And then you can have the question about it's my choice to do it.
Yeah.
And because we recognize, I chose this partner, I chose this lifestyle, I chose to have a baby, I have to quietly suffer.
Yes.
And then we feel embarrassed about the choices we make.
Yeah. And then you feel guilty.
Yeah.
And then so all this is swimming basically in your head in this postpartum phase because it's a new relationship as well that is kind of forming or whatever. When it comes to the resentment, the word that you use was resentment, which when I kind of read about this postpartum resentment that people have with their partners, I thought it was a very intense word, because at that point of time, there is gratefulness. There is when you look at your baby, you're so grateful that okay, my baby is healthy. I'm so happy. I'm so lucky. I'm so this. I'm so that. This is the narrative in your head. But of course, you're also very resentful of the fact that your partner can bounce back and your partner is not doing those things that you're doing. And then there's this dry spell in postpartum where sex becomes something that you just don't even speak about. You don't even want to think about it. But your partner has not gone through anything physiological. So for them, you are rejecting them. Or maybe it is like, oh, she's so obsessed with the baby now that she doesn't give a shit about me. Does this sound familiar?
So there are two sides to this, one of which definitely women are struggling with their bodies, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not the body you had 9 months ago. It's not a body you recognize. You look in the mirror, you do not see the person you know. And that by itself, how do I put it? It doesn't turn you on to go and have sex, right?
Yeah.
Two is that there's this baby latched onto you, attached to you the whole day.
Yeah.
There's only so much of like physical touch you can handle in a day.
Yeah.
You want some time to be left alone.
Yeah.
And third, you're just uncomfortable in the being, right?
Yeah. Is it hormonal as well?
So hormonal, definitely. And that does play a role in it. But I'm also going to look at it psychologically over here, right? You do not think you're attractive in that moment. And if I don't think I'm attractive in that moment, somebody else wanting to have sex with me is not going to work.
Even if they think you're attractive.
Even if they think you're attractive. But I'm also going to say for men, on the flip side, some of them do not want to have sex post having a baby.
They don't want to
They do not want to have sex because in that moment, the way that they perceive their life
is the mother.
Completely changed. Yeah. It's our mother. Yeah. They do not see them as this attractive girlfriend they were familiar with.
Yeah.
Now it's a mother. Yeah. It's a nurturing figure.
Yeah.
And they go through a whole journey themselves before they are able to see their wives as their partners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it could take place from both partners. Yeah. In that moment.
Yeah.
And when they need to sit down and respect and see what's happening to them.
Yeah.
And then work on it.
It's so strange, right? Because having a baby is, of course, in a modern day, a joint decision, unless it's a mistake. It's your marriage has basically transformed forever, for the better or for the worse. And in my experience, in the few circles that I have spoken in, always for the worse, I have seen marriages crumble as soon as the baby is born and never actually go back to being what they were. And it's strange because this baby was your choice as a couple. It was something that you thought would bring you closer. which it should have technically, because this is like a joint project, that you guys have undertaken together and you're going to work for it together. But the nuances of this postpartum have effects that I don't think a couple ever bounces back from.
It definitely opens a Pandora's box of unresolved childhood concerns. And I bring this up, right? Because very often in therapy, people are coming in,
Yeah.
and they're talking about what's happening in their marriage or what's happening in relation to their child. But what they're actually talking about is what they saw growing up, what they understood, the relationship with responsibility. Do they want it or do not want it, right? On paper, we think responsibility of the child,
It's a given.
yeah. But what does that responsibility actually look like when the baby comes?
Yeah.
And most individuals do not understand it.
Yeah.
They think it's just decision making and then let the nanny take charge. But that's not always the case.
Never
This
the
is
case.
your baby.
Yeah.
And you want to take care of them and you want to nurture it. But how do I nurture? We all come from different families, different identities, different cultures. Even though we may be from the same community, living in the same building.
Yes, yes, yes.
Our homes will be entirely different.
Yeah.
And when we bring that into a family system, which is now involves a joint project,
Yeah.
we're going to have opinions.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard this, but everybody says, oh, now she has a child, she found her voice. But that's because now what matters to me will come at the forefront.
Yes.
I'm going to say it, I'm going to be assertive.
And also, mothers do become tigresses.
Yeah.
So if my cub, it's about my cub. And if I have to show my cub that mama always stands up for herself, she's going to do it, whether it is whoever it might be, So that, of course, but yeah, in this postpartum too, definitely, I feel like either you can repair this very, very quickly, or then the relationship is a little fractured, forever, honestly, because that third person coming into this two-person equation, either both parties have to be super mature to understand this physical angle that, okay, maybe she needs time or he needs time to become physical, to have sex, to have that same intimacy that we had before we had the child. And intimacy also changes when the child comes in. The child is with you 24/7 initially. So, yeah, of course, you have this option of packing your child up to another room, but not everybody has that. Most people in India, especially Bombay, live in matchbox apartments. They do not have the luxury of nurseries and all of that. Most people are now living by themselves without in-laws, so it is literally your bedroom has become the nursery.
Yes.
So how it's not humanly possible to have this whole foreplay intimacy situation that used to happen before the baby was born. So that itself is so much of conditioning, so much of relearning of a relationship. So I feel like that if parents maybe were to do therapy at that point, that would really help. Don't you think?
I think it would. And, to go back to it, that use word fracture, right? Yes, some things do get fractured. But how you process it and explore it is extremely important because that's allowing you to peel back layers of yourself.
Yeah.
And that just helps you.
Yeah.
You just become more aligned with who you are and what you want for yourself. And that feeds into your child.
Yeah.
Because your identity becomes stronger, what you want becomes stronger. And I love this word. It gives you the courage to be yourself.
Yes.
And, yes, there's turmoil, yes, but how you handle that turmoil, what you do with it, what you understand from it, again, going back to word courage, gives you courage to be yourself. And I think I can confidently say all parents want their kids to have the courage to be themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
And if they can see you do that and live that.
But let's talk about the joint family system in this postpartum phase, because most families do still live with in a joint family situation with in-laws and all of that. And the postpartum was has been given this very sacred status that this is what you can do. You cannot touch this. You cannot, in some homes, can't get out of the room, can't wash your hair, can't this, can't that, can't. And it is done in the guise of protecting the mother. Maybe it is done to protect the mother. I don't know. But what is the dynamic going on there with this whole a joint family, opinions on how the child should be raised, what should be done for the child, for the mother, how the parents should be doing what they should be for the child, or the husband should not be entering the maternal room. What? So give me your take.
So I think in India, family will give you an opinion if you're living with them or not.
Yeah.
They will never stop.
Yeah.
But it becomes the woman is more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Immediately after delivering, and I'm going to say for the next 2 years or so.
You think so?
Definitely, right? Because especially with your first baby.
So how long is this postpartum last?
So there's postpartum depression, and you can notice the signs for like after the first 2 weeks, and it could last for 6 months or so, and sometimes even longer. But there is postpartum adjustment.
Yeah.
And I think that would take, for some moms, at least 2 years.
But this postpartum brain fog that they talk about, what is this brain fog in the sense where you just don't understand what's happening? You just want to be, you don't want anybody to say anything to you. I remember with my firstborn, I just wanted to cry. I wanted to bang my head on the wall and cry. There was not a seed of love that was coming out of me for her because I was just like, she has literally changed everything, my marriage, my career, who I am. I thought I'm never going to go back to work. I thought my career is just going to die, basically, because I'm a hairdresser. So I'm like, how am I going to look glamorous? How am I going to strut into work like I always have? How am I going to have this shape of mind that I always have had? And of course, your skin goes everything, like, when you're in that zone. So, in all of that, I remember feeling like this is never going to end. And I'm never going to feel normal, whatever normal means, again.
We don't realize we're experiencing it in the moment. We do not realize that I'm struggling to function in the moment. We struggle to identify it because I'm waking up, I'm working out, I'm eating my healthy meals, I'm showing up at work, I'm showing up with my baby, but I know something doesn't feel right, but everything presents itself as feeling right.
Yeah.
Only once you've allowed your body to reset, which I think will take at least 2.5 years, can you draw a comparison?
Wow. I did not know it was 2.5 years.
Exactly, because here's what happens, right? Why it could even take so long is because we exhaust ourselves.
Yes.
We do not want to rest.
Yeah.
And it is very easy for people to say, sleep when your baby sleeps. It is
I do not even know what this means. What does this mean?
I don't know. I wish I did.
I just don't. Every time somebody would say this to me, I would just be like, I'm going to kill this person. Like, I'm going to kill this person for saying this. Sleep when your baby sleeps. What the hell does that mean? Like, am I a baby? Can I sleep every like 45 minutes? I said, what are you talking about? Like,
It doesn't work. I remember even like the massages, having them done every day, very uncomfortable.
Ordeal. It was an ordeal. Because we are so privileged to have this, most women do not have that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, I've heard stories where in government hospitals, women are given Parle-G biscuit with water as their first meal, and we crib about the smallest of things. We are so blessed that we have this system of massage and everything, but genuinely speaking, it is the biggest ordeal because I just wanted to get out of that zone. I'm just like, just don't touch me, don't talk to me. I just don't want to know what I should be doing anymore.
6 months post delivering a child in postpartum, most women are going back to work, right? If you run your own organization, you're dealing with the guilt of not being at work and not being at home from day one. You are still trying to figure out nutrition, food for yourself and your baby, and perhaps even for the house.
Yeah.
Right. So if I don't know how overachieving is not an option over here.
Yeah.
Because somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
And I can very easily say, let my partner take care of the food, right?
Yeah.
But then I'll give you a real example, right? So everybody has a food plan and a meal plan at home, and we need to optimize. And I'm talking about privilege, okay? We need to optimize for groceries. We need to optimize that we're not overburdening our staff.
Yeah.
We need to optimize that everybody's made happy with food. So let's take something as simple as today. For lunch, there's Rajma Chawal.
Yeah.
But now Rajma Chawal could be made for the parents.
Yeah.
But my 2-year-old or my 9 month or 1 year old is not eating Rajma chawal. So what do I have to make? Do I make a whole new item for them?
Yeah.
Or do I, use the Rajma and make tikkis? But in our brain, we have to now restructure our whole meal plan to see these are the ingredients. How can I make 3 sets of people happy and not overburden anybody?
Yeah.
Now, that's something that I think instinctively most women get.
Yes.
But
And
But-
we for us, this is second nature. We're not even thinking that we're doing anything.
but for our partners, they need a whole education in it.
Yes.
And that's probably because they've not had to think about it. And they'll be like, so what if you to make Rajma Chawal and also like another sabji? Big deal. No, it is a big deal because then this person in your house who's so reliable with food is going to say, Bhabhi, peacing out.
Yeah.
I can't go here. Yeah. Right? And, so many moms have come, some of my friends have come and told me the most important person in their life is not their partner anymore. It is their nanny. Because that support system helps them work. It helps them have some normalcy in their life.
Yes.
And it's not like they are beating their children. It's not like they're feeding their kids. But it's just small bits they know that
Even when you're a non-working mom, it doesn't matter. It doesn't take away from the fact. In fact, you are working 24 hours when you're a non-work. When we go to work, we at least have that phase where we are working in something that we like or something that we want to do, which is out of the house. You feel normal when you step out of the house. That woman who is actually a homemaker is with that child 24/7. I mean, that requires some other kind of mental health, I think. I mean, it's just something else. And then when you come back and you question, what have you done from the morning? You're just like, boss, you know? And that when you're in this postpartum phase, you're just like, I want to kill myself.
it is wildly irritating. And also, the homemaker is doing it by choice.
Yes.
The same way we are going to work by choice. For some of us, it's not a choice. We need the money, right?
No, and for some people, also being a homemaker is not a choice.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Because in most traditional families, Priyanka, you have to leave your job if you have a child.
Yeah.
Your तुमने की कर लिया ना, हो गया, बस अब छोड़ दो, because you have a child now. Now this is your responsibility. So that all those things are swimming in your head when you have delivered your child, and that 1 year, I think, is just too tough for any woman to navigate by herself.
It's very interesting you're saying this, right? Because, we talk about how it's a choice.
Yeah.
And maybe for some, it's not a choice. So invariably, they present it as like a choice. And because we think it's a choice, we're presenting it like a choice, we struggle to speak up about our struggles.
Yeah.
I've made the choice now to live with the repercussions and consequences of it with a smile.
Yeah.
And we then make excuses for everybody else around us.
Yeah, we're making excuses for especially our partners, right? Like, I think I see women making the most excuses for their partners, even though they are drowning. You see, like, they are frazzled all the time, but we are making the most number of excuses for our partners.
Even the partners are now changing.
Yeah.
But I go back to this, right? Equity.
Yeah.
In a relationship is of most importance.
So, how do you think this can be achieved by, suppose you had to give advice to a woman who's hearing this podcast? She's pregnant, she's going to deliver next month. What is the advice that you'd want to give her?
Eat, sleep, exercise.
Yeah.
Basic.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
2 conversations with your partner.
Yeah.
Really, really stretched out, many conversations, understand their childhood, understand the expectations you have and what they have. And even after all of that, you're entering something you have no clue what to expect. Right?
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's about figuring it out one day at a time.
Yeah.
And the fourth part, which I think is most important, make mommy friends. I think having a mom group is of most importance because nobody gets you better than another mom in the same phase.
Yeah.
Not even your best friend who's had a kid before. It is that new set of moms you've met in the playground or at that prenatal class who ends up becoming your anchor, your support system. And because they're experiencing that along with you, you realize you're not alone. And that's just the healing.
This is so relevant, and that's why I this has been my quest. And because I meet so many women because of my work, I feel so lucky and so privileged to have had this support system. But I know so many women who feel so isolated in this journey. And for that reason, we started something called the Silent Room, wherein we bring in mothers from different walks of life, group them into circles which are confidential. So you can actually share without worrying that I'm going to be judged. Oh, what a silly question to ask. You know how we don't ask that question because we're just like, oh, I don't think this is a very smart question to ask, but you can ask this through because I feel like this is the one thing that makes you feel normal. Don't you feel like when you have people who've been through what you have, you just kind of there's a sense of ease there where it's just like, okay, thank God, I'm not the only one. You know what I mean? So that I feel, what do you think? Don't you think that is community? It's
Community is healing.
your tribe.
Community is healing.
Yeah.
Um, and I can't think of a better way to talk about it. I'll keep repeating the sentence, community is healing.
Yeah.
Because they get you, there's a safe space, hopefully, that gets created
Yes.
with it. And there's a shared experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? All of which are important.
Very important. That's so true. Thank you so much for this conversation. This was absolutely amazing, so eye opening, and it was such a lovely chat. I feel I was talking to a friend of mine.
Astrid, I really enjoy talking to you too. And I really hope that this helps some moms out there.
I'm sure it will. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like content like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel.